Hello, my name is Elijah Wells, and today's review is Ryan Coogler's and Marvel's new movie, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Set sometime after the event of Endgame, and of course its original movie, Wakanda is already having a lot of unprecedented challenges, like of course T'Challa's passing, which is made a lot more sentimental, a lot more sobering, considering that Chadwick Boseman had passed away back in 2020 from colon cancer. And of course, that a lot of countries are just breathing down Wakanda's throat for saying, "Hey, why are you the only country with vibranium?" Like, oh, what? How's that? That's not actually there when you don't export it at all. Things get even more tricky with with the antagonist Namor, who comes like saying, "Hey, we have vibranium under the sea. If they come for us, then we're going to wreak havoc onto the surface world." The movie, of course, has a more of a sentimental and more of a bit more of a sombering tone than usual, considering the movie essentially is one grieving process for the entire characters, mainly because T'Challa in the movie has passed away, which is again in accordance that Chadwick Boseman had again unfortunately passed away in 2020. So again, they dealt with the that he has passed away and that his character again has passed away pretty seriously, and it has deals with a lot about like how characters kind of try and move on from it, and why some I would say are reluctant to move on at all, considering that again the original script that allegedly had just T'Challa readjusting to a post-blip world, but again, this is Wakanda post-blip, and that T'Challa's dead. What to say, the morale around Wakanda is not really that great. Despite the hard and challenging times Wakanda is facing, the movie itself is actually really great. The movie, again, written and directed by Ryan Coogler, it's brilliantly directed and brilliantly written, and as well as all the characters, even though it's not just about the one character or here and there, but it's about all the female characters as a collective. Like, there's a lot of story threads that go on about the movie. For some of them, one of the very interesting subplots in the movie is when Suri, portrayed by Latina White, and Okoye, played by Dania Goria, who travelled to Cambridge, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, not Cambridge, UK, which is where I'm born and where I work. Again, that would be very interesting if they go to a university city in England, but again, we have to stick with Massachusetts. It's then when they found out that they tried to find a Cambridge student, or Harvard, I think it's what they call in Boston. They found out the inventor of the vibranium mining machine, which is causing a lot of tensions, not just with the underwater sea nation, but with Wakandans as well. And of course, a bigger discovery is that she somehow made a massive, Iron Man-esque suit called the Ironheart. And of course, she, by default, replaces Iron Man after he bites the dust, literally, in Endgame. Which, again, a very solid and really interesting action scene that happens in this movie, and some great music as well, and it is shot really well. And I do like the comedy, using spears in, university dorms or university hallways, which, again, I'm not sure he's going to bow so well. And of course, trying to negotiate with the Harvard student that's causing Wakanda a lot of headaches at the moment. The movie, visually and design-wise, is brilliant, but visual effects-wise, it's a definite improvement from the original movie, where I think one particular scene, particularly the fight scene and train scene, got criticised for looking like an unfinished PS2 demo game. This one, even though knowing what we know now, that the visual effects department at Marvel are not really treated that well, really, and it went to show in Love and Thunder, which is a mediocre film at best. This time, they have a battle literally on a massive boat surrounded in the sea, and that much of Wakandan city just gets flooded in, which again, this does look visually marvelous and does look what I'm trying to say, it's a definite improvement from the original, and it does go to show that a a lot more has gone into it, or just that Ryan Coogler kind of got the butt of the criticism and said, okay, I don't want to have to face this, so let's do it better. But again, the movie does look, when it came to like visual effects wise, it does look a lot better. And also, the design wise, which won them the Oscars for like production design and costuming work, with Ruth Carter being the first black female to ever win a costuming Oscar, which is pretty unprecedented. Again, I do like the new costumes they bring in. I do like the more refreshed stuff they brought into the mist, and I even love the designs of this underwater nation that is pretty much featured throughout much of the second half of the movie. Which again, even though again it's underwater and does remind me a bit of like the James Cameron movie Abyss, again, how they build that world over, it's definitely extremely gorgeous to look at, and particularly in his throne room, and that they turned out it was made completely of vibranium, and that they have like this little sun-like energy that basically gives them like some vitamin D, which is again some really interesting concepts being thrown here and there. And no review of Black Panther is complete without talking about the soundtrack. Of course, the centre of the stage of the soundtrack of this Black Panther movie is Rihanna with the ballad Lift Me Up, which is a very interesting at best, even though it's more of a ballad than one of the more eccentric, more flashier songs she did. And I think one of my favourite songs of her is like You Need Me or I Shot a Man Down. Again, some great tunes here and there. Even though she's not released an album since 2016's Anti, and that she's hosting a Super Bowl like halftime show next year. Again, I'm not sure she's going to release an album between here and Super Bowl, or she has something else shoved up her sleeves. Again, I do like the soundtrack, but I didn't feel like it was as explosive, let's say, as the original version with a lot of Kendrick Lamar songs. Like, the biggest ones are All the Stars, Pray For Me, King's Dead. I think one of my favourite tracks is Oops with Vince Staples, also known as You're Dead to Me, which, again, very droney, very dark. Again, something that's kind of up in my alley. Again, this is a great song, but even though, again, besides the Kendricks, besides the Rihanna's, the score itself by Liquid Gurson is absolutely immaculate. Like, again, he did win the Oscar for the last one, which, again, a little bit surprising considering his competition, I think around that time, if I could remember off the top of my head, was like films like Favourite, Mary Poppins Returns, Roma, Green Book, even though it did surprise held up really well. Like, the music as did. Like, there was a new reworking of the score Welcome Home when, of course, the Wakandan aircraft flies into Wakanda, like the familiar score, but I feel like it's remixed to suit her character as well. And I do like a lot of the scores, like a lot of the African instruments, like he borrowed from, like he was very vocal about working on the movie, using these instruments and using one of the vocalists, I think Baba Mole, who is from Senegal, like, who I think he won a Grammy for like world music for his previous works leading up to Black Panther. Again, he had that same working mythology as well when he did do the work for the Star Wars series Mandalorian, which I do like to see some composers like carry over that work and to do other projects, which I really like to see more often with Logan Gurson, and which he did. And of course, major kudos to Latina White, who has probably the most interesting character development and the most interesting character arc throughout the entire movie. As in the beginning of the movie, she is just in tears and just her morale just completely thrown out the window after learning of the Black Panther's death, and that she was really reluctant to ever bring back Black Panther, and usually questions traditions and usually confronts her mother about it. To around the end of the movie, that she does become the Black Panther and she does regain her mortal and morale strength of her, and that she does have a moral compass. Did wane a little bit throughout the entire movie, like would she not, and again is resolved in a we'll just say a rather peaceful way. even though the runtime of like 2 hours and 42 minutes may be a bit much for people to swallow or to sit through, even though, again, I have no problem of watching a really long movie. I think these one minor problem I have in the movie is probably depiction of a same-sex relationship between Ankeny and Ayo, but it's again, it's Disney again. You know how they pretty much treat the LGBT demographic as in like hype up an LGBT character, then give them the most minimal thing possible, to the point that it's easy for other countries to like edit them out. Like you're giving the countries that have really bad LGBT records to like give them a win or something. But I think not in the case of like Onward and Beauty and Beast, where they just hyped up the LGBT element in the movie to the point it's like so minimal that you can like skip it out, or it can be like edited out, or you wouldn't even notice it. I think in the case of Black Panther, it's definitely no internals where it's the massive focus in a couple scenes, but in Black Panther, I feel like it just came off like a last minute afterthought or a last minute reshoot. Like, oh, got to do that scene, I guess. Like, I feel like this. I think it was just a case of the studios had no like real optimism or like real enthusiasm to do anything regarding like LGBT characters or their relationships in the movie. Even though they have like Strange World coming out in a couple of weeks, but allegedly with an LGBT character. When I mean by allegedly, chances are it's going to be a cameo that's going to be like easily edited out or just completely ignored, or on the other end, like internals, where it's going to be like the front and center in a couple of scenes. But who knows? Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We'll just say it's kind of an omen movie for Marvel, but a good omen. But the movie it's essentially like getting together and just crying together and just mourning the loss of Chadwick Boseman and how they pay tribute to him, particularly not just with the Marvel logo with Chadwick Boseman in like the previous films and in interviews, and also it was dedicated to him, and particularly in the final scene where Suri just has a flashback to all the time that she interacted with T'Challa. Again, this is a really great moment. Again, great performances, some compelling writing and direction by Ryan Coogler, some major notable improvement with the visual effects designs, and the design as well is very gorgeous as well. The music is brilliant, the cinematography is gorgeous. And all in all, it's not just a movie that's just as, it's one of the a rare Marvel sequel which is just as on par, or if so, it's just as maybe even better than the original movie. So I am feeling an 8 to 9 out of 10 for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So, what did you think of Black Panther Wakanda Forever? Let me know in the comments, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and this is Aladu Wells, and bye!